So, yesterday and today, wow, yesterday and today was pretty crazy because my husband came home on Friday and Saturday he went fishing, and I was just sitting here just kind of listening to my own thoughts. And I took my dog for a walk yesterday, and I know that she's dealing with yeast and stuff coming through her ears, so stuff's coming out through her ears. So right now it's harder for her to hear stuff, but she does hear certain frequencies. But when we're outside walking, she's on a leash, but I think I left her. I took her off the leash maybe about 10 feet from the house, thinking that she'd just run to the steps, because sometimes she navigates the steps clumsily, and then I have to kind of navigate that. So I let her loose, and she kept going like around the block, and I'm like, holy shit. So I'm running after her going like, sugar, and I redirected her back into the yard. So I was a little bit scared for a minute, and so I was like, okay, all right, I gotta watch letting her off the leash until I know she's fully can hear everything. And that was a little bit of a trauma, right? That's a trauma. As little as it was a trauma. So imagine how much trauma people go through and they don't rectify the trauma. All right, so I'm leading up to something. So anyways, I took a nap yesterday for a couple hours because I was just so tired, because yeah, there is a variant, another variant. There's probably a billion of them. That's what I'm saying, you guys. We're in a very aggressive environment. And so there's a variant that I slept for a couple hours, and then she was up last night. And she had a seizure last night around 3 a.m. And she came out of it. Yeah, she peed on me. Okay, whatever. But I was there for her, and she was kind of stunned for a second, and she just kind of stayed there, and that's fine. Then she got off the bed, just as if nothing happened, got off the bed, went downstairs. And it was like maybe a half hour after her seizure, she got up and went down the stairs, and I went down there with her. She drank some water. I took her outside. Okay, fine. Then she went out and peed again. Okay, fine. So she comes back in, goes up, and gets in the bed. I'm sleeping kind of lucid, but then finally sleeping. And I had the weirdest dream that I left her somewhere at home with no air conditioning, no food or anything. And I'm far away, and I'm like, oh God, what will I do without my dog? It was it was such the weirdest nightmare around my dog. And then I got up around 9 this morning, but still just feeling like, ugh. And yeah, I was getting the poop out, absolutely. Working that sphincter, abso-fucking-lutely. Blowing my nose, abso-freaking-lutely. I feel right now a little heat under my right arm. And so showed you pictures of those hives that people get. Remember those hives that I showed you a couple of days ago? I don't have them anymore, but then as your body gets exposed to stuff, and then you feel the heat, because I was feeling the heat, you're tired, so you're sleeping, you're eating a little bit. Hi, sugar, hold on. You're eating a little bit. Come on. All right. And so then your body works it out, and then you blow your nose, and then you're also pooping a lot. Okay, that's what I'm saying. You got to get the poop out, get the poop out, get the poop out. And blow your nose. And I'll tell you, a lot of mucus even came out of my ass. A lot of mucus. Okay? And then I'm feeling my lymph nodes under here. And so then my dog slept most of the day. I took a nap today for a couple hours too. I didn't eat a whole lot. I just had some chips and dip and stuff that I got from the delivery service yesterday or the day before. Yesterday. And so my dog woke up actually just a half hour ago. She didn't poop at all today. So when I fed her, I hand fed her today, and she ate her food and all that stuff. And then right afterwards, she pooped. Awesome. So she has food in her belly. She has water in her belly. She slept to repair whatever damage, whatever excitement from whatever variant that she was exposed to. She slept, and I slept. And so when you sleep, you work things out in your brain. Whatever problem you have or whatever biophysical issue you have, you work it out, and then you become stronger, you become smarter. When you're not resisting these viruses or taking cures or trying to stop the energy or stop the pain, and you face the demons like I faced the demons this morning when I had that PTSD from like, oh my God, Sugar, was kept walking as if she's gonna go around the block again. I'm like, oh my God. And then my dream, that's why I wrote that post about dreams work things out from the day. So when you do the Jilly Juice meta mentality and you have crazy dreams, that's all the PTSD. That's all the T cells and B cell memories that are, yes, swirling around, and they will eventually leave your body as you keep pooping, as you keep blowing your nose, as you keep allowing the rashes to express themselves. And then I realized that the viruses are really the body's, yes, defense system. They are the viruses or the antibiotics. The viruses are aspects of antibiotics plus the intelligence from someone's DNA. So you can take on someone's intelligence and filter out the antibiotic qualities. And yeah, it's a fight. Like I have these mini homogenized time zone or mini homogenized pieces of equilibrium. And then when my husband comes home, he upsets the equilibrium. He upsets the homeostasis. He turned what used to be a homogenized environment between me and Sugar throughout the week, and then he goes and infuses another virus that then her and I have to go and upgrade to. Well, imagine having that done on a massive scale. Though we have things like that during cold and flu season where new viruses get infused and then people feel the energy, and then not everybody survives it. And so when someone says what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, oh, that's true. But whatever you're sharing with the public will either make them stronger or destroy them. But then the person who's receiving your gifts and your curses and your spells, they have to be responsible for how they receive that information. And so I was working out in my head, like, I was trying to do a math equation of like, for every virus you don't reconcile with, literally, like face the demons, how many weeks, months, years are taken off your life. But then you have to know how long a person would have lived, and we know the average person lives to about maybe 80. Let's just say 80. I mean, you can cut it down between men and women and say, okay, for a man, it's less than a woman, but we'd say humans around 80. So, but then there's some other factors besides viruses, unreconciled viruses. There's lifestyle. Someone could be a marathon runner and take years off their life. Someone could be an exercise enthusiast or a yogaist or someone who's a drug addict. And that would take years off their life. So there's more than just doing the equation of like how many viruses that are unreconciled would take years off a person's life. That's too black and white. And then I realized, okay, there's a lot more factors involved that would take years off of someone's life. But you see what I'm saying. If you understand that if you don't reconcile with these viruses in the proper way and let them express, they will be a contributory factor of you not adding years to your life. It'll be taking away years from your life because the energy that's inside, it's still doing its little big bangs and it's taking away substance. And even if you're adding substance, how do you know you're maximizing that substantial potential, which is the nutritive qualities, the nutritional intelligence? When I showed you that picture of me back in 2018, when I was doing mostly J juice and hardly anything else, and I look like the Crypt Keeper. And then I put next to it a mummy that looks like the Crypt Keeper. And we weren't that different. You could see the bone structure in my face. Just like that mummy, you could see the bone structure in that mummy. And so when people are not taking on nutritional intelligence, they are either so obese because of the kinetic energy causing the hormonal imbalances like adenovirus 36 to express itself so overtly that the fat gets out of control, or someone has so many viruses or T cells and B cells and stuff cannibalizing them, blocking nutrition. And so they're not getting the nutritional intelligence. And so then you're like, holy shit. So then you look at the Georgia Guidestones. Okay, the Georgia Guidestones is an end result. How do we get there? It's choose your own adventure. And then you look at the X and the Y, the XX for the female and the XY for the male. And what came first? X or Y? Was it XX like Lilith and Eve, or was it XY and XX, or Adam and Eve, or was it XY, Adam and Steve? And then you just add in another chromosome, now you have a womb. Okay, like woman, womb N. And so then you're like, oh, so we don't know what came first, what came second. All we know is we have a storyline called the Bible. We have our logic and reasoning based upon the Freemasons' development of a specific evolutionary reasoning that also can incorporate creationism, because you have all of the different genetic, all the genes that have been mapped out with the Human Genome Project, with all the different T cell regulators and the T cell expressors and suppressors and every aspect of your body and all of its genes. And so then there's a combination of creationism where you can develop abilities, but that's why the whole dying and reproducing. Because when you're dying and reproducing, you can take on those abilities, like the geniuses and all the different athletes and the actresses and all the beauty and the Botox. And so those are very temporary. But that's what I'm saying. Diversity is based upon the different genetic components that are spliced and diced and docked together. And here you have a human that has specific gifts and abilities, or even a look that people desire. And so then what is the ultimate human? What's supposed to be the most correct human? There isn't a most correct human, because if we have everybody homogenized, where it's all just one type of adaptive race, and it's all based upon your geographical location. So if you live below the equator, you'll be darker more than not, more melanin. Or if you live around the equator, you'll have more melanin. And if you live too far south of the equator or too far north of the equator, you'll have a lighter melanin. And so then what would be the right prototype, the right way? Well, since we're doing so much of the innovation with biotech, you're going to have to adapt to whatever new variant that's out there. And we have 7.9 billion people changing the variants. That's what all these viruses are everybody's DNA, everybody contributing their DNA. And then it's being catalyzed by antibiotic qualities and probiotic qualities. So when you're very antibiotic and you're bringing probiotics, you're going to have an explosion. When you're very probiotic and you bring in an antibiotic, you're going to have an explosion. So it's all relative to how much of the positive, negative energy you hold within, and then what you allow in and what you block, and then also what you can't help but being exposed to and also having to react to, which right now people are not wanting to feel on a conscious level, but their body is still experiencing little mini explosions inside, but they have disabled their indicators. And so we won't know really what the strongest, the most correct prototype is, because there really isn't. Because you can have someone like me who is evolving. Will I, in the next 100 years, turn into the most predominant culture out there? It just depends on what it is. And since we have so much diversity, there's no way of telling. So it's just a constant adaptation evolution, which means that every single time you're out there, or the weather comes in, or every single time you hang out with people who are on different levels of decline, different levels of therapies, different levels of diversity, it's like you're going to have to adapt to, and they're going to have to adapt to you, and vice versa. And that's kind of the nature of the beast today. And so you can't look at these viruses as something that's deadly. Though those who are weak are going to be afraid of the virus, they'll be afraid of the therapeutics. So of course they are. Because the therapeutics, people are afraid of the adverse reactions. Well, those adverse reactions are what you already hold inside that was never reconciled with, and that was just happened to be the catalyst to trigger things that were already held within inside. And so you're going to have to rectify with it and reconcile with it without trying to cure it or suppress it yet again, because then something else will wake it up. And it could be a food. It could be water, it could be air, it could be a crowd of people, it could be a therapeutic. It could be any single energetic force out there that could wake up what you already hold within. And that's why people are making correlation equals causation and trying to blame the therapies for all the diseases when people already hold the diseases within. They hold them within, and they've tried to suppress it with therapies, with antibiotics, with all their detoxes and their remedies. And so then it's very easy for them to go and blame something when, yeah, they ate a food. Now they think they're allergic to the food. Well, you could be allergic to the food because of someone using food as medicine, and you hold that disease in of an allergy to that specific food because the body sees it as a weapon against the DNA, but that could be very short-lived. Okay? I mean, I wasn't around people yesterday, except for my husband, but I did get takeout. I got Starbucks, and I got some Hispanic food. And I love Starbucks and I like Hispanic food, but you don't know who's making your food. You don't know what kind of DNA is being dropped and mixed in. And so it got past my first lines because it wasn't airborne, it was in the food. So I ate whatever someone else prepared for me that I didn't know who they were, but I have to still assimilate to my environment. So then I didn't feel a stomach ache, but I definitely was releasing a lot of poop, which is fine. My body can handle it. I have enough of a strong immune system and a strong body to release anything that is extraordinarily energetic and that could also try to take over. And then I have to sleep to repair. I have to eat to code. I have to blow my nose to release and poop and pee and sweat and feel the heat. And so this is what it takes to now constantly evolve to an ever-changing environment that will not be homogenized. Sugar, what are you doing? Okay. And so, yeah, my dog has to also level up. And so as long as I keep giving her not too much exercise, because she's still, she's slight. More slight than she was before. Okay. I still feed her, of course. So as long as I keep feeding her, I keep walking her, I keep giving her water, I keep letting her out to go to the bathroom every single, whatever times of the day. And I let her sleep when she needs to. She'll survive this, but it is a constant, it's a constant taking notice of everything and feeling stuff and supporting the energy, because there's a lot of energy right now in this environment. Some of you are under the influence or so cured, either on J juice or other types of detoxes or other things, that you don't even notice. You're like, well, Jillian, what are you talking about? It's all in your head. You just have this sickness. Oh no, honey, nobody is immune. Nobody is like in a bubble around any of this. I don't care how many therapeutics you're on. I don't care how much J juice you're doing. I don't care how many detoxes or herbal remedies or whatever you're under. You're still exposed to everybody's information. How you reconcile with that information, even if you feel it, will be the difference. And some people can hold on to their youth and looking cured, and you don't even know what they're dealing with or what they're not dealing with. And so when we see people, it doesn't, like when we see them on Facebook, it doesn't tell you the whole story. But you know that with the advancements of biotech, people can be cured longer than what they used to, but even then, at some point, those cures and all the different Botox and the implants and the supplements to grow hair when you couldn't before, all that does wear away, and the body does develop an antibiotic resistance against all of that, and then Mother Nature will then take her due. You can't hide now behind all the things that used to hide behind. Okay? And so that's the thing about understanding what this world that we live in, is that every time you infuse an aggressive virus into a relatively homogenized population, which was relatively homogenized before in 2019, before September or October of 2019. And then China happened, and then the wave, the pandemic, spanned the globe. And now every single society is dealing with that specific algorithm plus everything else that was asleep. So then you have the AIDS virus, you have Hep A, Hep B, you have all the different dysentery, you name it, any disease that someone has held back behind a therapy, never reconciled with, it's going to come to surface. Measles, smallpox. We're going to see a resurgence in a lot of the diseases that we thought were like gone. Nothing is gone. It doesn't just disappear. Disease and viruses and bacteria, viruses, parasites, protozoa, proteins, fungus, and bacteria does not just disappear. They can be sleeping, anesthetized, held back by certain algorithms within the immune system, but they don't just disappear. And it'll take an aggressive energy like, change from 5G, 6G, 7G to an aggressive virus, to a crowd of people, to a different food, to anything that the body deems as something new that has to go through an upset of homeostasis, could wake up all the sleeping giants within, and then you see a resurgence of pandemics. And that's what's going on right now. And this is the Hunger Games. This is the fight to the death, the microbial wars. This is what's going to strengthen the population. This is what's going to make the population either really weak and not very intelligent, or it's going to make population extremely intelligent and extremely strong. And then you choose which side you want to be on, where you want to decline, end up in palliative care. And so you'll know there'll be the decline in your nutritional intelligence as well as everything else, because you won't change the way you do things. You won't change the way you see symptoms. You're not going to change your politics, religion, or science. And so that'll be the progressive decline, and you'll see that. On the other side of it, you'll see people changing their politics, religion, and science. You will see them realizing that we're under one big script, and we've been given our part to play archetypally. You've been given a part biophysically, intellectually, all of that through the reinforcement of academia, our friends and family, and whatever notion we adopt as true for that moment until someone gives us another argument, then go and jump on the bandwagon. And that's usually what happens, is people trade one argument for another, but they're all the same arguments. There isn't anything that different. And so that's why politics, religion, and science is like a one huge movie set. And right now, they're breaking the fourth wall, which means now the story is now conscious of itself. People are realizing they are playing a part. They're basically extras, or they have been able to have a voice somewhere. And so anyone that is being thrust into the media is given now the spotlight if they have something different to say or something controversial. And if you're not thinking of anything innovative or controversial, then you're just a background actor, an extra. You're the infrastructure of the story. And so as soon as you realize that, then you can pick the part that you want to play that's going to redirect the story, because the story can be written and rewritten over and over and over again, but you have to be the one to understand the chemistry of the words and understand the chemistry of what you say and what you do. And are you reinventing the wheel, or are you just expounding on the wheel? Because why is it A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, P all the way to Z? Why not Z, Y, X all the way up to A? Well, because we have a very specific order of operations. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B, C, D, alphanumeric. It builds on each other, and then when it builds, then you can also create and shapeshift and convert, and you can develop any kind of storyline, any kind of infrastructure. You can do geoengineering, you can do terraforming, and you can take down societies and build them back up in any way, shape, or form. But you have to understand that that's what's going on here, and it's not a bad thing. Though the Bible, people in the Bible are like, oh, it's Revelations. Absolutely. We're in another simulation. We're transitioning from one simulation to another, and you're being given a choice to survive it. But many won't, because they can't handle change. And that's why all the change management classes in the adult ed as well as in college, for a liberal arts degree, I want to major in this and minor in organizational development. And I did try to get a degree in organizational development, but I didn't get the degree. I took a few classes in it. But then I did a little bit of work with somebody that worked at Microsoft to understand even the technical side of it. Because I like Excel. I like the details of Excel and formulas, and then mapping out business processes to see how everything interrelates, how everything interconnects. So I already had kind of the training of how things connected, and then I also realized that you didn't have to stay with the same story, back when I was 19 when I did landmark education, that you can always create a blank slate, but there's really no blank slate. You can't create from nothing because there's always something to create from. And so then it's not like saying I'm creating from nothing. I'm acknowledging what was so before, and I can still build on that, but not throw it away, not say I don't remember it. I don't remember everything, but it's not going to run me. It's not going to be the reason why I do or don't do. It's just that now I've become wiser about what goes on out there in the world. And then you pick and choose your path carefully because you know what runs other people, because you knew what ran you. You knew what ran you. The hormones, the PTSD, all the trauma, you can try to distract yourself and cover it up and put a Band-Aid or say I'm going to reinvent myself. But if you still have those B-cell memories inside, biophysically, you can't create from nothing because you have the memories in your gut, in your brain. You dream about that shit every night. Or it shapeshifts and you go from one boyfriend to another one who has all the same qualities and characteristics. And you're like, well, I tried to change a new leaf, but why do I keep ending up with the same person? Because you haven't really truly reconciled with those demons that had you cause those specific boyfriends or girlfriends or friendships or situations. And so that's why I'm saying that you have to release the excess memories. You have to reconcile with the energy. You have to actually feel it. And you have to sleep. You have to eat. And if your life is that busy, and if your politics, religion, and science is that important to you, you'll still circulate within the same conversation. You'll exchange one addiction for another. You'll use, the same words, but differently, but not really. Or you'll read from your script, whether it's from the ascension world, the energy healing world, the scripture world, the science dogma world, the political world. Because everybody has scripts that they've given you. And people can regurgitate left and right, and they do. And so then, and what I'm saying is when someone can finally intellectually have an intellectual breakthrough, is when they can articulate the other argument. When they used to be pro-vax, they can now say, I understand where the anti-vax came from. I get it. And when someone is anti-vax, they can understand where the pro-vax people are coming from. But you have to remember, personal protection isn't just personal. We share all of our personal protection with everybody. And then that gets mixed in with the environment. And then people still have to assimilate to that new converted unique identifier that was once personal to you, but now it is public. And that's what keeps the different variants out there going, from influenza 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to measles 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, because we're living in a world of 7.9 billion people that cannot keep their mucus to themselves, and they can't. You talk to people. People date. People go to parties. They go into hot tubs together, drunk off their ass, exchanging microbes left and right. So now that we know that we can't really get away from our environment, you could try to protect yourself and block the intelligence, but you're not really blocking it. It's just laying dormant until one day it agglutinates and it becomes one large giant monster, especially if you can't really release. And we have our first lines of defense atrophied because of all the mucus drying agents and the cough suppressants. And we have atrophied our butt, our sphincter, because we were told never to touch our own butt. We were told that somebody else had to touch our butt. Okay? And so we don't even know what goes on inside of our different orifices because we were told to be afraid of them. That it's dangerous to touch your own butt. Or it's so dangerous to touch your poop. Okay. And so then people are they have been trained not to deal with anything. And so then when they have to release at such a maximum level, then it's either someone goes in, does an operation and sucks out all the infection, or they take a vacuum and suck out the mucus out of your kid's nose, or they have to go and do surgery and take out cancerous types of organs and tumors. And that's the world we said okay to. Well, maybe it doesn't have to be that way. But you have to strengthen your body, mind, and spirit. And that means that you have to face those demons. And that's a transition. But I'll tell you what, anytime you get exposed to a new viral variant and you deal with it and you allow the mucus to run and you blow your nose, you poop, you get the poop out, literally, without using J juice, because you already done the resets. People do so much J juice they get constipated. Well, that means that it's time to get off the J juice because you constipate yourself. You froze yourself with the poop inside of you, and you got to pull that poop out. And you stay off the J juice for a minute and let your body finally take in the nutritional information when you eat the food. And you don't do any more J juice, and then when you have to poop and it's hard to come out, you keep pulling out until you train your body to get it out for the most part. And then if you have to, when a new virus comes in, then you know how to get it, because you know how when something new comes in, it kind of freezes things in action. And so you become constipated or bloated, and that's what happens sometimes. But you'll be doing this I've been doing this stuff since like 2016, 2017. So I've been doing this stuff, understanding my sphincter, for a long ass time. But again, I wasn't telling people this because it's so taboo. But then I said, you know what, screw the taboo. You guys got to know this. And so now you guys will figure it out. But when you take a shower and when you have a bidet and you're feeling a certain way and you're blowing your nose and you're coughing and you know there's poop in your system, you will find every way to get everything out of your system, because you know all your orifices. When you're coughing and then you blow your nose, let's say you blow your nose, go like this, you can actually make yourself poop that way too. But if you have pressure or if you have blockages in different orifices, like in your ears or other places, you'll feel the pressure and it might hurt. But that means that you have blockages that you're going to have to work with. And some people are going to get infection. They're going to have stuff that they might even have their ears bleed. Because there's so much things that have been blocked, that have been atrophied. And so this isn't for the faint of heart. That's what I'm saying. Some people would rather just live out their life, their cured life, and be as cured as possible until an aggressive energy just takes them out. And maybe they can pull themselves out. Not everybody can. Some people just die from a heart attack and they don't have any chance. The fact that you get cancer, disease, and chronic illness is giving you a stay of execution where you can redirect. But you can't come back from vital organ failure. You can't. But that's where the system is going. That we won't have cancer, disease, and chronic illness, which was your third line of defense. It'll just be straight up vital organ failure. You'll be alive and vibrant one day, and then bam, done. That's scary when they say, we're not going to have cancer, disease, or chronic illness anymore in the future. Well, what is it going to be? Are we going to live forever, or are we just going to be turned off as soon as we get exposed to a new virus that's in the environment? See, you guys don't realize the gift you're given when you have cancer, when you have disease, when you have chronic illness. That's a fucking gift. But people don't look at it as a gift, because then they're like, oh, well, I don't want to feel pain. Well, yeah, there's ultimate rest and peace. That's the pain-free lifestyle, is rest and fucking peace. But when you don't have cancer, disease, and chronic illness, and you only have your first and second lines of defense, and when those get atrophied, and you don't get cancer, then what do? You go straight to fucking death. Is that the world that you want? That's the world that's going to happen, because the system is tired of the suffering. So they'll get you all nipped and tucked and all done up for a short amount of time, and then they died in their sleep. And they died peacefully. No, it wasn't peaceful. I'm sure it was a very aggressive event. And so what you feel when you're in this world, being on the JJ meta mentality, because you're not doing JJs if you've done already the resets, what you feel is a gift. The little bit of suffering of what you're feeling without being under the influence is a gift. Because some people do not survive vital organ failure. Actually, nobody survives vital organ failure. But in this juncture, if you do get cancer, disease, and chronic illness, think of it as a gift that now you can redirect. Because you're not going to have that chance later on if you don't understand how to deal with the pain and the suffering and the mucus and work in your sphincter. If you don't understand that, then you will live out whatever life you have left. And you'll stretch it out as far as you can with the J juice. But even then, in this dynamic environment, you can't be cured. But people are. They're trying. You can see them trying to be cured. And they are for a certain amount of time. Remember, but it doesn't last long in a dynamic environment. That's the law of entropy. That's the third law of thermodynamics. So the gift of feeling is the gift of life. Not the gift of not feeling and then using your hormones to make you feel something. That's not the point. The love, the hate, the anxiety, the depression, that's all manufactured, synthetic, induced by drugs, alcohol, and other behaviors. That's why our world is so messed up, because we've been living off emotions and hormones as far as our emotions, but we never dealt with the stuff that is going to make you more intelligent. All right. Bye.